focusing on. And then we will have, after Niklas, we will have Lorenzo from the company Reduced. And thirdly, we will have Søren Pihl from Biotrans. And then we will have a short bio break before the discussion where Anna Lebon, our graphical facilitator, will sum up her drawings during the presentations and give a short presentation before we start the discussions. And we end up with a conclusion and next steps. Okay, but let's move to the introduction. So those who attended the first workshop will know that we have two kind of overall themes here. It's monitoring and reporting is one of them, and circular solutions is the other theme. And today it's about closing the loop along the food supply chain. And we have reduce, reuse, smart technologies represented by Niklas from food upcycling from Lorenzo from Reduce, and food waste recycling by Søren of Biotrans. And so why is this so important? Well, our food system is definitely the heart of the European Green Deal. And it also have, there's a huge focus on its transition to a more sustainable and better functioning version of the food system, you could say. So overall, there's a target of having a neutral or even positive environmental impact from our food production systems. And there is a target on designing our food production systems in a way that they mitigate climate change or adapt to impacts. But you might want to try for the first one as a first option. And then there's a reverse loss of biodiversity. So you can see these aspects relates a little bit to the planetary boundaries and how we can interact with our natural system and natural resources in a way that we do not reduce them or even exploit them or deplete them, but instead have regenerative design. And of course, our food system should also be health and safety and deliver nutritional food for all that are sustainable, affordable, and fair for all. So this is kind of the overall target. And then how could that look from a planetary point of view? What is needed from our food system? Well, you could put it like this. Overall, we want positive environmental footprints from regenerative circular food systems, a food system that respects the planetary boundaries. And I think most of you have seen this figure to the far left, where we have the planetary boundaries that are exceeded, 4 of them, by Johannes Rockström, and we have the donut economy by Kate Raworth combined. And what we would like to do is actually to stay inside the safe operating space of humanity here inside of the donut in the light green. So that means that somehow we need to redesign the way we manage our natural resources in a way that we move inside the ecological ceiling here, but also have a more distributive food systems that are more distributive and fair, so that everybody can have a decent livelihood. And so these, you could say, are all of the common goods. So it should be all of the common goods accessible for every person on planet Earth. So we want to move in this direction somehow, and we want to absorb more emissions that we emit. That might seem like mission impossible, but we will see already today that there are options for reaching that. And as you know, these might know these individual planetary boundary of fundamental Earth process, they are interlinked. So climate change are related to biodiversity due to temperature increase, but also to the excess nutrient flows, which is also putting pressure on biodiversity. And of course, you know, the issue around land use changes and deforestation and so forth. So we would like somehow to reduce significantly our resource footprint and have a food system that respects planetary boundaries and human well-being. So the situation right now is that we lose around 30 to maybe even 40% is, according to the news numbers, of our food production is lost and wasted before reaching any consumer. We need innovative solutions, sustainable solutions, and we need to reach SDG 12.3 in the right way, as just explained. And also, we need to move away from business as usual towards regenerative agri-food change, and also to eliminate poverty. So food for all, so eliminate hunger. And the situation now, if you look at 2000 and suddenly my sound, okay. From 2015, we had an estimate from the European Union of 88 million tons of food being wasted per year, corresponding to 8% of the climate gas emission, and 23 around that of all water and cropland use directly wasted, with surplus food being lost or wasted somewhere in the food supply chain. Of course, this is not a sustainable global food system that works in this way. So, but actually, that's not even when we start to measure and know the numbers. This way of visualizing the food loss and waste as a country, as you see here, it would have been the third biggest country in terms of CO2 emissions. But actually, when we look at the numbers, they are even higher. So newest numbers from UK is that we actually have a huge amount of food loss already in the primary sector. Around 15% is wasted at the farm due to, inappropriate shaped according to our definitions, vegetables, among other issues. But so in total, we might even be globally up to 40% at a global level. And of course, this is a situation that we need to improve. So if we include the primary sector, the numbers, if we look at how much we import and how much we throw in European Union, is actually in this absurd situation that we import around 138 million tons of agricultural products from the rest of the world, while we waste even higher amounts. So there are room for improvements here, definitely. So in the Fooders project, what we have done is to start and map solutions, how to avoid surplus foods from being lost and wasted. So this is the questionnaire that you have all got the opportunity to reply to, and many of you did. Thanks for this. I know it's sometimes these questionnaires doesn't make sense, but what we have tried to do is to identify or to map the flows from the individual step of the food supply chain, and to see what is the state of art, what is the current resource management practices, and what are the emerging trends towards new solutions and opportunities for creating circular food systems and local short-chain rescue operations or solutions to reduce food loss and waste. So what we see so far, what we have got in terms of replies is around 60 companies, and they are distributed like this. So we have 40% from the primary production business actors, and we have 80% in the processing and manufacturing, which makes sense because here's a lot of opportunities, maybe for business to business opportunities. Then we have wholesale here. We have restaurant and food service here. And we have here food loss and waste valorization solutions, and others which could include, for example, non-food products production from inedible food streams in biorefineries for high-value component production. Some examples before we go to the keynote speakers I just want to present to you is here from the primary production. We have, as I told you, the 15% lost at farm is mainly due to, at least in Global North, ugly vegetables. So here we have an example of this Danish company selling these eat grim, so ugly vegetable packaged food boxes directly from farmers to consumers. We have here a Spanish company on the use of the broccoli stem for high value and health improving ingredient production. We have here yet another upcycling company for mature, over mature fruits and vegetables. And here we have yet another example of next generation protein with extraction from surplus fruit and vegetables again. So this is interesting trends. In the logistics, we have several examples. Here's just a couple of examples, 2 different examples, but of these IT or app systems where you can actually locate in time trade systems of surplus food at a local scale within communities or cities, which is super smart. And then I also wanted to highlight this company that actually produces packaging material that keeps the temperature lower at longer time frame. So the isolation is high, but it's made from fibers from inedible food streams. Wholesale and retail, we have to the right here an example of a wholesale company, Hørkram. I forgot the logo, but anyways, they have installed in the Fooders project Stop of Food Loss webpage, where companies or downstream customers can buy from this webpage, and at the same time they can get information of how much CO2 footprint they have rescued from being lost, together with nutritional value. And we would like to expand it with other land use, water use, fertilizers, and so on. And to the right here is it's a Spanish company again, but it's the same principle, just at the retail level, and notching around food products with the best before date, because actually best before is just the best before. So it's not expiry date, but it's actually food that could be sold still very close to or at the date of best before and still be good. Then we have the HoReCa sector, 2 examples here. I don't remember this. Rex Catering is re-food production from surpluses in time, but also a system where you collect in time services, surplus food from different operators inside a city, for example, and you recover the surplus food and resell it as food. So here we stay in the top of the food waste hierarchy at food prevention, which is our first priority. And down here you see Eco Exchange is just food sorting, so that you get a really good separation of food waste and what should not be together with food waste if you want to recirculate it as for biogas and fertilizer. And in general, if you want to recircle all of the resources, as we know, it's not waste, nothing is waste, everything is resources, and therefore should of course be managed and separated in that way. Then in our EU project, another last solution, I think at the HoReCa level is actually Jesper Storkøkner, who has held co-creation workshops with university students at university canteens on zero waste cooking and CO2 friendly food cooking. So it's reducing waste and moving to more plant-based. And this can they produced a book that is available from the webpage that can of course also be replicated at household level. So these are examples of very different solutions, but we need a lot of solutions to along every step of the food supply chain, of course, to have a cumulative effect of all of the efforts to change our food system, whether it's social, cultural awareness, technologies, or at personal or national or company level, and multi-governance as well, of course. So what you have seen is different examples of moving up the food waste hierarchy with the highest priority of prevention. We have had several examples. So the yellow one over here is when we are down here, where it's no longer food, but it's material recycling or recovery. And of course, we would like to stay as much as possible in the green part here for prevention or reuse / upcycling. But what cannot be rescued should, of course, return from where it came, namely back to the soil. And of course, we should also extract volatile components before doing so, that we have green energy as well. So today, we have 3 specific, very brilliant examples that you will hear about very soon. So we have the food app, which is intuitively should be at the top because this, but the food app is a cloud-based systems for monitoring motives or food preferences, but also to make the chef or the kitchen aware of opportunities for reducing surplus and reuse of surplus as well. So here we have a very small circle you can see, and that has no or very low footprint. So it's a small arrows or small circles are very good. Then we have reduced, as I understand, Lorenzo will correct me if I mistake, but they use side streams from agriculture, from post-harvest, and from processing. So a surplus that would have been, or side streams that would have been discarded, but are upcycled instead. And then lastly, we have biotrans, a very hygiene-wise and workplace-wise sustainable solutions that are optimized transport-wise, but also in many other aspects. But where we have from the service sector, we have actually nutrient and energy recovery. So we have, when we talk about the food system, we have a return of nutrients to the agricultural soil. So I think this was, yeah, and here you see you can sign up for future workshops, but that was it. I'm finished from here. So I think now I will